Welcome, everyone, to this episode of the Expansive CEO podcast. I'm your host, Hannah Chapman, and we are diving back into relationships today. This year has been a year of relationships. We had the relationship series at different times throughout the year and with different guests. And my guest today is in it. She knows what's going on. So, Shana James is here with me today. And as a relationship coach for 20 years, she's humbly discovered the causes of disconnection and distrust in relationships, as well as how to build trust and keep passion alive. Shana has a master's degree in psychology, as well as DISC and positive intelligence certifications. She's facilitated decades of authentic relating workshops based on her training in communication, mindfulness, psychology, and sensuality, and specializes in helping clients find and create healthy relationships after 40. She is also a fellow podcaster and creator and host of the Man Alive podcast with over 300 episodes, and recently started a new one called Practicing Love, Have the Best Love and Sex of Your Life After 40. She has a TED Talk, what 1,000 Men's Tears Reveal About the Crisis Between Men and Women, and also two books, Honest Sex, A Passionate Path to Deepen Connection and Keep Relationships Alive, and Power and Pleasure, A Man's Guide to Becoming a Confident and Satisfied Lover and Leader. And Shana, that is all super juicy.
Thank you. So happy to be here with you.
Yeah. Thank you for being here.
Mhm.
And we're going to talk about trust
Mm,
today, which is sometimes a scary subject for
Sometimes
people.
a
So,
challenge.
yeah, let's talk about it. So, tell us more about you. How did you get to this place where this is the work that you're doing in the world?
Mm. Well, if I go all the way back, I would say what's that word? This is the perimenopause brain, where you like almost catapult out of a family system to do the opposite, right? Like my parents have a very challenged relationship. They're still together, but they're constantly at each other's throats. And I realized there was no way I was going to do a relationship like that. And so I went to school to become a therapist. And during that time, I ended up in an intentional community where we got real and got authentic and made a lot of messes. And we were trying to grow. And it was kind of like the 70s, but it was around 2000 in
Mm.
San Francisco. And, we were staying up all night and going to these raves and parties, but also like coming home and getting super deep and crying with each other. And two of the men who were part of that community started a course called the Authentic Man Program because they were having such incredible breakthroughs in their romantic relationships. And part of that was because of the honesty and love and care that we as women were bringing to them.
Mm.
So I got to be part of a team of women who was giving honest and loving feedback to men. And it totally rocked my world and opened me to so much love and understanding and compassion for what men go through. Yeah, and I don't know, I was never the same after that. It felt like this deep calling to be an ally and to support, women also through supporting men for those women who are in heterosexual relationships and also just the world. I think we need more conscious, loving men to feel good in the world and to be cared for and understood and seen in the world. That will make a huge difference.
Yeah, what's so interesting, and one of the things we talked about, just one of our other conversations before we were recording, was, that you really leaned into this work with men,
Yeah.
and then you would work with women, especially in like business containers and helping them grow their business, because also relationship work completely, literally, like
Yeah,
overlays perfectly in business, right? That
perfectly.
it is what we actually need is
Yep.
relationship work, just in general.
Yeah.
But that, again, leaning really heavily into the men's side of work and only recently starting to like come back to, okay, like bringing women back into the work that you do.
Yeah.
And one thing that's super interesting, because I've had this question a lot, like I am a woman in a male dominated field. Um, and I've had a lot of questions over the years of like, oh, do you mainly work with women? Is
Yeah.
that, and for good reason, like a lot of women
A lot
want,
of women do choose to work mostly with women or only with
right,
women. Yeah.
right, only with women, mostly with women, um, or drawn to, right? A lot of women, there aren't very many options for a financial advisor
Yeah. I
if you
love that
are
you do
looking for a
that.
woman. But I have never said that. I have never been someone who, you know, re I want to say like rejected is such a strong word.
Yeah.
But I've never rejected working with men because what I've grown to know is that if someone is drawn to my energy, it's
Yeah.
for a reason.
Yes.
And typically, the men that are drawn to my energy are more emotionally intelligent, are, more more aware of like
More
the
awake, more aware, more sensitive. Yeah.
yeah, just in general.
Yeah.
And like they really don't jive with the, finance bro guy
Yeah.
around the corner. Uh,
Nope.
and so, yeah, and then even working with couples, like that has always been a really
Oh, yeah.
important part of my heart too, is being able, because finances are a really scary topic.
It's a really challenging topic for couples
Yeah.
often.
So
Mhm.
getting to be that safe space to have these challenging conversations and getting to be a really soft mediator for that, um, it's always been a really important part of my work.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, I've always held a really high regard for honoring the balance that we bring to one another
Yeah.
and seeing how important that balance is, that even if you know for me myself, like I am a strong balance within myself between alpha, omega,
Masculine,
masculine,
feminine. Yeah.
feminine, right?
Hmm.
Like, and we all have that balance, I believe. So enough about that. How do you see it, from this place of also, being a strong woman,
Yeah.
able to hold, you have to be strong and clear in your own, masculine and feminine balance in order to hold space
For men.
for men. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, let's go there. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So interesting because people often ask me, like, do you get hit on or right? Do you have these weird situations? And I maybe have had like one or two in my life, in my business. I can't even remember the last time it happened. Maybe it was a decade ago. And I don't know exactly why that is, but I do think that there is a clarity in me that when someone comes to me, especially when a man comes to me to do the work, I am a stand-in for the woman or women in his life, the future women, right? It's not about me. It's very much like I am the archetype or I am the human he gets to practice with. And there is something I was talking about this with someone today because also I've been divorced and so dating later in life, like I don't have horrible experiences with men. I don't feel yeah, all of those things that women complain about. And I'm not saying that to brag. I think it comes back to the respect and the love and the care that I have for men. And that I also have a really high bar. One of my girlfriends said that to me. She was like, you would never put up with some of the shit that I put up with, but you're so much nicer and more compassionate and more understanding. And so it's this interesting combination, I think, where I have a very clear sense of myself and that, I am someone who wants as much consciousness in my life as possible. And if someone else isn't that way, then they're just not going to be a fit for my life, even if there's a strong attraction or, right, something like that. And same with work. Yeah, I really feel into, okay, is there work we can do here together? Can I be in service? And are you as someone as a client, like, are you available for that?
Mm. Ooh, yeah. And I can't remember if I asked you this before or not. Otherwise I would say if I knew.
Yeah.
What is your human design authority?
I'm trying to, is it, am I generator? Is that the authority? Yeah.
That's the type.
Okay.
Were you an emotional generator
I don't,
or
sacral.
sacral?
I'm a
Sacral.
sacral generator.
Okay, that's right. That's right. We did talk about that.
Yeah.
And so I'm super curious to kind of get into this piece of surrender, of trust, of this piece of what I said before, right? You've been working with men for a long time
Mhm.
and, just kind of like seeing how things might be shifting and changing and what's coming up in business now.
Yep.
And following that sacral authority,
Yes.
I also have sacral authority. That full hell yes when it really comes, like just being able to
Through
take
the
that yes,
body.
right? But then also being able to let go and
Yeah.
surrender and not try to then control the
So
situation.
hard sometimes.
So how is that showing up for you? What's happening in your life
Yeah.
that is
Well,
bringing that
right.
up?
It's so interesting because 20 years ago when I started, like I said, I started in this team of women. Then I created a women's workshop series with another woman. And so I was leading workshops and, teaching women in that way, coaching women. And then when I had my kid about 13 years ago, it was like I had this very clear, like I have to pick a lane. Only have so much energy. And the calling was to work with men. And I would say, and then I did some business work with women, and I think that was a really good balance. And when I stopped doing that, I kept checking in and asking. And every time I say this, I look up. I'm like, I ask, like, is it time for me to call women back in? And I just kept getting a no for years. It was like 4 or 5 years, I think. And I was like, really? Are you sure? But there was nothing in me that could move. And it was like I was like handcuffed or something until I actually got the answer until I got the yes. And last summer I got the yes
Mm.
and then decided I was going to put my Man Alive podcast on pause and start practicing love because that would be for everybody, all genders, and started a new course for women, like more of a one-on-one, but walking women through finding love after 40 and doing it in a conscious way. And that you can actually, I believe, have the best love and sex of your life after 40 because it takes something to stand up for ourselves and be true to ourselves, but there's so much more of that available at this time in life. And we've been humbled and all of the things, but it's beautiful. It's really beautiful when you take that and you turn it into conscious, loving connection. So, yeah, I think the trust in my life really comes in with these ideas come in, and then I have a clear yes or no. And none of them, I would say, turn out exactly as I think. Like none of them bring in all the clients or, sometimes I put something out there and then years ago I was there was a reality show called Are You the One? And I ended up being a matchmaker on it. And it was like because I put a course out there that someone contacted me. It was like nothing in my life has seemed to come in through a straight line or straight arrow. And there's been a lot of trust needed.
That's such an important point, and that's super funny. I wonder. I feel like I need to look at your chart too, because
I know, I'm curious.
that's similar. Like I am similar in that way of like things have always felt really like circuitous.
Yes,
Where yeah, it's not like you put out the funnel and people buy from the funnel.
exactly there. No, no, it's
It's not,
very bizarre to me.
but it requires a lot of trust
Yeah.
for sure.
So
And
much so that I fake tattooed it onto my hand, You can't, I don't know
right
if you
there it
can
is,
see it if people are
synonymous.
watching, but right. It's like I need to look at that all the time. Yes. Oh, right. Oh, right. Oh, right. Trust. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe, I mean, like, I would love to hear an example of how you just gave one example, but like, are there more examples of how that's worked for you so that other people can hear that as well? Like, what are ways that things have come about in weird ways?
Yeah. I mean, I think what I feel called to say is so I've hired so many people and so many teams and so many, right? And, recently hired a marketing firm that I think they're making lovely content, but it's not going the way I thought it would. It's not bringing in clients in that particular niche. And so now as I'm sitting with it, I'm like, huh, why did I get such a strong yes? And where do I go next? And I think that is the piece where it's like, I don't know. I don't have an answer yet. But I could either crumble into a tantrum, right? That's like, this isn't working. Or I could be like, I wonder what this is opening me to. I wonder what the next opportunity is. I wonder, everything builds on everything else. I mean, that's been so clear over the decades of business that everything I'm creating is comes through all of the content and all of the successes or failures, or I don't like calling them failures, but right, like things that have just fumbled and stumbled. There's always something new that gets to be created, and it feels deeper and more aligned and more true. And then those are the people who end up showing up.
Interesting. That's I don't think I could explain it any better myself. Like that's it's
Similar for
so
you.
so similar. When people ask like, well, where do your clients come from? And all, it's like, well, some have come straight off of Facebook or straight off of LinkedIn or straight off of Instagram or by listening to the podcast or finding me on the CFP website and then
There's
listening to the
not
podcast for
one.
a year. And then, I mean, referrals, people that I know and network with and talk to, right? It's like, if I had to like look through my book of business and be like, okay, what's the one way that people have come through and double down on that? It's like,
There isn't that.
no. And if there's one way, if I can't even put it that way, the one thing that I have done is show up as me.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is not always easy either. I mean, I think because I don't know about you, I think we are similar in this way, but I don't know for sure. But I'm always evolving and growing and changing. And there's often been a question in my business of, am I showing up as enough of me to the world? There is a part of me that spirituality is very important to me and consciousness and sacred relationships. And yet I haven't marketed myself in that way. I've been marketing more around a little more conservatively, like women, women who are struggling after divorce or women finding love over 40. And so I guess I also feel like maybe this would be interesting in my chart too. There's a little bit of a moving target or a honing in. And in these perimenopausal years, it feels like the journey is to really just keep getting truer and truer to myself.
Yes. Yeah. That for me, I found it was very interesting. I actually had a full year. I didn't get a new client for an entire year at one point, which was scary. But I also like the way my business is set up, I do have recurring revenue. So I
Yeah.
had recurring clients.
Yep.
I just didn't get any new clients in.
Yep.
And when it came down to it, and then I was doing all the normal things that I
All the
was,
same things.
but I hadn't fully come out of the closet of, sharing human design and gene keys
Oh,
with the world. But I had been doing it
interesting.
behind the scenes. I'd been doing it with clients,
Yes.
like sharing it in masterminds, like doing all these things, but not actually saying it
Mm.
in my website, in my marketing, like being literally upfront about it. And as soon as I did, everything was like, yeah, that's what you were supposed to do.
Wow.
Like almost every client that I have gotten over the last
Oh,
couple of years at this point, have been because of that.
that's amazing.
And it felt very like there was a piece of me that knew, right? It was like I kept like "Mm, I don't know, I'm scared. I'm a little scared to be that clear
Yeah.
because what if
Well,
people
and
think
I've
I'm
I've
a
had
whole
that
weirdo?"
too. Right. Yes, that's been my thing my whole life of feeling like the weird one. And, I wrote a book called Honest Sex, and I work a lot with people with sex, but it's very tame. Like for real, we hardly ever talk about positions, or right. It's so much about the emotional connection and the energetic connection. And are you listening? Are you attuning? Can you speak up for yourself? So
Mm,
it's so rarely about sex. And I never wanted to be categorized as like the sex coach or the sex woman. And yet there's another part of me that's like, well, why not? It's such a beautiful, powerful thing in our lives. And at the same time, it doesn't always get the respect. So I think
mm,
as women, there is a particular, right, thread that we're trying to weave where we get to be ourselves and we get to be respected.
mm. Is there, okay, so for me,
Yeah.
there was a piece of safety that I was worried about, right? Like it
Yes.
was like if I share this about myself, that I care about this so much, that I think it's so valuable and so important.
Yeah.
And then there are people who are like, it's astrology based. You are straight up
You're
bananas,
woo. Yeah.
right? Yeah, like will my clients leave? Like that was the big one. Will my
Yeah.
clients leave? Will I be okay?
Yeah.
And so there was literally like this the sense of like security and safety that was feeling like challenged.
Yeah.
And I wonder how much of that, like, 'cause especially when you're talking about sex, when you're talking about relationships,
Yeah.
like, is there a sense of like inner safety for you that
Mm.
comes up with like, if I share more, I won't be safe.
Yes. Yeah, there's definitely that. And I think respected is the one that pings me,
Mhm.
right? And I think about people like Esther Perel or other people strong, powerful women who are respected. So I know that it's not that it can't happen, but I don't know, somehow in my childhood makeup, family dynamics, whatever, there was like a very strong drive to be a respectable, I think in my family it was
I
like,
That's the word that was coming up. Yeah, like there's the respectable woman.
yes, yes.
Like, what does that mean?
And let's be honest, by my family's standards, the way that I've lived my life, that would definitely come into question.
Well,
Yes.
and
And
if you weren't, right, how many people, if you weren't you, if you weren't being you, how many people would not have
right.
created better relationships,
Yeah.
right? Which is the foundation. I think that is one of the foundations of safety,
Totally. Totally, right?
society wise.
And I was actually talking to a client today, a man who's coming up against this edge of how does he actually express power in his life and his relationship and the kind of the access we have when we're younger to a little bit of the darker energy where it's a little more primal and it's a little more, I don't want to say it's not totally irreverent, but it's like it basically, as we get older, we learn like I want to be more respectful, or I don't want to blow up my life or my
Your
relationships, my
reputation.
reputation, all of it. And so I was like, oh my God, I'm so happy that you came to me because I was like, if I had a kink in my life, it's like, how do we get the dark and the light and as much of it as possible in the same place at the same time, right? Like with as much love and consciousness and as much of that aliveness and vitality and primal energy, and do it in a way that consciously creates good in the world instead of creates destruction. Like that is really exciting to me.
Ooh. Ooh, that's so interesting. Tell me more. Yeah, just tell me more. Like I'm like the visual I'm getting between like first the yin and yang, right? Like comes up
Yeah.
really clearly, and the fact that like there is no light without dark, right? They're like they are together.
Yes.
And so yeah, tell me more. What's coming up with that?
Yeah. I mean, I think so sometimes for me, sex actually is a very concrete way to describe dynamics that are kind of invisible or hard to describe emotionally, right? So I think about the range, if we talk about, is okay, we talk
Oh yeah, let's go.
okay, right? The range between like, the Tantra world, which is embodying spirit and energy and union and connection. And then we think about the, say, BDSM world, where it's like, how do you use energy and power and domination and surrender and actually really consciously, like when people do it well, it's extremely conscious, right? But then I think about, we take it outside the bedroom, right? Just using that as the jumping off the springboard. It's like, okay, how do we feel, especially as business owners? How do we feel fully alive in our lives? How do we take care of ourselves and not, like, I remember after I was divorced and after I became a mom, it was like, what actually is fun for me? What actually is sacred for me? How do I, and trying to let go of those boxes
Mm.
so that we can find what's true instead of, if I was stuck in my family box of being the respectable woman, I think my life would feel very flat and very dull. And I would wonder, like, why the hell, what is life for? So I don't know. I feel like we're kind of going in a way that I'm not sure if you want to go.
Go. We'll explore it all. Well, I mean, from the root of relationship
Yeah.
and trust and surrender,
Yeah.
like if we if we keep all of that on the table of like how how do we create the safety to move forward? I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of like the central question, right? Even talking about your sacral authority and like following that full hell yes, but then surrendering to like, I don't know what the exact outcome is going to be. I don't
Yeah.
know exactly what client is going to come through the door. I don't know what the opportunity looks like. I just know I'm like trusting the yes in this
Yes.
moment.
Yes. Yeah. I'm thinking back to last year, I said yes to being a facilitator for someone else's relationship coaching business. And in some ways, I was like, I've been doing this for 20 years. This doesn't totally make sense that I'm going to go in and work for someone else. But I just had that yes, right? It was like, so if we're not always looking for, I don't know, what's the thing that pays the most money or what's the thing that is the most highly regarded, but we're actually listening to our hearts. I think that's the way that we can create a business where we don't actually burn out and we
Hmm.
get to be surprised. And I mean, for me, I imagine for you too, but again, I don't know. Business is a spiritual practice. There's like no way around that. So the continual letting it grow me, stretch me, who do I need to become to tolerate more discomfort or to open to, more abundance or more unknown. I think when I look at it that way and I look at relationships that way too, then I feel less like I'm floating in a sea with nowhere to land.
Hmm. Yeah, that's such an interesting point because getting to getting to the place if things feel I don't want to say like too comfortable. Uh but if you get to the place where things are like just like going right for me and I think for a lot of entrepreneurs that's why we are the way we are. It's
Right.
like mm,
We need some more excitement or
yeah.
soul, that feeling of like our soul calling.
Right, exactly. And that ability to also handle to stretch, right? And to receive more. It's not necessarily for me, it's not necessarily about like you said, like having the highest paid client or, making X amount more dollars,
Yeah.
but more about like, oh, I'm feeling triggered here. Like, what is that telling me? Like,
Yes.
oh, that's making me feel really anxious. Like, what vulnerability is that uncovering?
Yeah.
Um, and when we talk about relationships, actually, like even with my in Juncture, right? I'm not a partner of Juncture. X squared wealth planning is a part of Juncture Wealth Strategies. Um, but some of the new visions that I have of like, not even new, just like they're getting more clear of like what comes next, like requires more help, requires
Mm,
more than just me,
I love that.
right? Where a lot of the work that I've done, like creating the podcast, doing like I've brought in support around those things, but
Yeah. But there's,
uh
it's bigger.
right, a lot of stuff was like I can do this,
Yeah.
right? Like everyone can just get the F out of my way and I can I'm gonna do the thing that I'm like wanting to do. But what comes next isn't just me.
No. I've been getting that a lot too lately. Like I definitely downsized after I had my kid and I was single parenting and it was like I did not want to show up for someone else's calendar. Right? I was just like, ugh, too much. And now again, okay, so now it's almost 14 years later. And I'm like, oh, something wants to happen in collaboration, or many things want to happen in collaboration. It's not, just doesn't feel exciting anymore to do it on my own.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the vulnerability, what I was as I was like typing it out and like sharing it, I was like tapping into like, I feel really nervous to share this.
Yeah.
And by the end of the email, I was like, oh, that's why. It's because this is not a, an FU, I can do it on my own. It's I actually like
Need.
need partnership, need support,
Oh,
need collaboration. Um,
God. That's like one of the biggest moments or the most vulnerable moments in a partnership, right? Is like shifting from that sort of more defensive or I don't need you, I got this, I'm a strong, independent woman to like, oh, actually, this could be really beautiful to co-create together. And maybe I actually do need you for something. I mean, not really, but
right.
maybe a little bit.
Well, and that I think from, you've mentioned, perimenopause a couple of times and like being in that phase of life and being in your 40s and um I mean I have been through stuff. I have had those moments of like other people not believing in me and I have to believe in myself.
Yep.
And I'm the one who gets me through,
Yep.
right? And I think a lot of us have. I know I am not alone
No, not
in that.
alone in any
And
way, shape, or form.
right. And so like having had those experiences and now being in this place where, hey, you know what? A lot of stuff is actually really, really good.
Yeah.
I don't want to blow it up.
Yeah.
And the call, like that pull, that calling of like, hey, but this is also really important and it's here and it's time,
Hmm.
right? Is calling forward to that, like, hey, you can be interdependent again.
I feel you so much. I actually have been in a relationship for 3 years and my partner's moving in less than a month, a couple weeks. And that was like, I realized that I woke up one morning and I was like, oh, I feel like I'm betraying single women. And I was like, what? Okay, that is fascinating, right? I took on somehow that I am the poster woman for I can be a single, woman raising a child, running my own business. I don't need anyone. And then I was like, why? Why
Yeah.
do I need to do that to myself? That's not a story that needs to continue. And it doesn't make me weak to partner with someone, whether it's in business or relationship or,
Mm. Ooh. Yeah. Yeah. That's a
yes,
big.
and interdependence, right? It's like we go from I have to be independent or, maybe codependent. We get sucked in, independent. We don't even allow ourselves to get near getting sucked in. And then interdependent is that conscious creation of okay, how do we do this together? And I know that if something happened or we broke up or he passed away, like I would actually still be okay. I'm not falling into some codependent pattern just because there's a collaboration or a co-creation there.
Ooh. That's really important. Actually, I think that's the shift because and I'm saying this like feeling into a few different things. One, like the codependence, like really.
I can't do this without you.
Right. And that is like in my old firm, that was that was literally the thought of like I can't figure out how to do this on my own.
Yeah.
I need you guys to help me.
Yeah.
And
And
so
then did you shift into the independent?
oh yeah, then it was when the energy shifted from yeah, you're going to be successful to telling me literally I wasn't going to be successful. My my energy, my higher self was like, F that. Like, no.
Huge.
I know I'm here to do this. I'm just not here to do it your way.
Yeah.
I'm here to do it my way. And that
Yeah.
was the F you, I'm out.
Yep.
Um, where I started X squared and kept and honestly like created X squared and kept it separate from Juncture
Mm.
as a DBA, right? So I am a brand in front of Juncture Wealth Strategies as a self-protection mechanism, right? Is that and that's what I learned what it was. And it was like I need to be able to take my ball and go home if I feel that energy again
Yes.
of like you're not doing it the right way, like you need to be doing it the way we're doing it.
Yep.
I would have been like, I
I'm
own my
out.
clients, I'm out. Like I'm gonna go
Yeah.
find yeah.
Yep.
And that was the like literally that was the independent space that I needed
Yep.
to get my footing. And that's where like that's what's being called back to be reknown or
Yes. I
I've
think,
talked about this a lot. Like whatever we create in
yep.
fear has to be recreated.
Yes.
Love has to be either
That's
dismantled
beautiful.
or reknown.
Yep. I love that. Dismantled or reknown. And I often work with my relationship clients on the middle way. It's like, right, the fear on the one hand, or the fear turns into either collapse or posturing on either side of the spectrum. And then in the middle, it's like, what's the conscious creation here? And how do I do this not from fear, but like you said, from love?
Hmm.
And it takes a lot of trust. As I say that, I'm like, okay, that's where trust comes in.
How so? How do you see that with your clients?
Well, I mean, I do have people, take baby steps, right? So it's not like, here, open up and be vulnerable about the scariest thing in your life. If you're going on a date with someone for the first time, like do a little bit of a testing the waters and see how does someone respond if you put something out there that's a little bit more vulnerable than you would normally do. Do they meet you? Do they, appreciate your vulnerability? Do they see you? And then keep going. And I think building business, feels similar in that way too. I mean, I think we both, network and talk to a lot of people, and there are some people like we will get on in the first half hour and cry together, men, women, and then there are other people where it's just very stiff and very robotic and like it just doesn't feel like a fit. Um, yeah, and I don't know. I think trusting like the right people come in and I think for me another thing that happens is I'll be meditating or something and then suddenly like someone comes to mind and I'm like, "Oh, that's the person I need to reach out to today."
Hmm.
And sometimes I don't even know why and then I have a conversation I'm like, "Oh, that was why." And sometimes it's, "Oh, this is what I need to ask," or yeah, but can we follow the heart, like you're saying, and the love and the being in service versus what would fear have me do today?
Mm.
Because there's so much action. It's not, you don't take action, right? You were saying that too. It's not like you stop taking action.
Right. Yes, that is um I think one of the fundamental things that's so interesting when we talk about, feminine and masculine and one of the things that has never like sat right with me about any of the super like feminine energy coaching spaces. I'm like, no, we
Just
still got to do
magnetize.
Right? Yes. Like I do magnetize.
We do.
I
Yeah.
absolutely magnetize and attract. And that like
Yeah.
literally my aura as a manifesting generator is open and enveloping and,
Yeah.
here to attract who's right for me. But how does that happen? It happens by me taking the
Mhm.
actions that
Yes.
feel inspired, that I
Yes.
feel like, ooh, yeah, this is the thing.
Yeah.
Um, and, everyone has their unique design of what that looks like. But even especially for me, one of my important senses is also action, meaning like meditation, different thing. Like
Yeah.
I'm meant to be in motion,
Mm,
not necessarily busy work, not burnout work, but I need to be in movement,
be
be in
doing.
motion,
Yeah.
be
Uh-huh.
doing something that's aligned for me in order for, you know, the, what do I want to say? The aligned people, right, to come
To
into my
come.
world.
Hmm. Hmm.
It doesn't mean I'm like putting out 40, cold messages on LinkedIn a day, because heck no, I haven't done that in uh,
No.
many, many years.
No, but I really appreciate that too because I'm definitely a doer, but I'm learning to do more slowly and I'm learning to do more, like you said, like, oh, meditating or doing my yoga or doing my practices. That is a part of the doing to create business. Because otherwise, if I'm just a frantic, like hair on fire, running around in the world trying to, you know, keep myself surviving, that isn't the energy that is magnetizing. And right, without action, I just don't believe that things then manifest or come into being.
Yeah, and what came up for me as you were saying that is that when you are in that frantic energy, you're literally, and you're feeling exhausted and you're feeling like it's too much. You're literally like telling the universe that I don't have time for more,
Yeah,
because you don't. It's like if you were to pile something else on me right now, I would like over,
crack.
yeah, I would just like be fried. And so when we're in that energy of being frantic, of being like super, like calendar super packed, can't put another thing on it. I'm so busy. Oh, you get on a phone call, you're like, how are you? I'm so busy, right? Like, well, you can't receive more.
No. No, and it's that is another place where trust has come in, where I've had slow times too and not getting new clients and then realizing like, oh, what I really want is rest or what I really want is a break. And yet it doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem like I should take that or, like that's not what my dad would say is the right thing to do. I need
Right.
to work harder and work, yeah,
Keep
like the
grinding,
keep
keep
grinding.
hustling.
Exactly.
No,
Yeah.
no, I need to trust. I need to trust that what you need, that your body is telling you what you need,
Yeah.
and that you can trust that. I had a client earlier this year, who's a manifesting generator, and he had come to me for human design and gene keys and like wanting to like understand this like response thing more. It's like, how am I supposed to create if I'm just here to respond? Like that doesn't make any sense to me. I can't feel my sacral. I get confused by it. And the ultimate recommendation was like, you have to stop forcing things.
Yeah.
Every single thing that you're forcing is coming from no energy.
Yeah. And that's been surprising for me too, that every time I've forced something, it hasn't generated money, clients, anything.
Yeah. Very little for a lot
Yeah.
of work is
Yeah.
what I've noticed too, right?
Yeah.
Like if I'm
Yeah.
forcing it, like I'm okay, that was
And
very,
it can be
very
a
poor
fine
ROI.
line to figure out too. I mean, maybe not, maybe because I am used to forcing, but sometimes it does feel like, am I forcing or am I, I don't know. Maybe that's definitely a growing edge for me.
Oh, it's so interesting for generators in particular, manifesting generators and pure generators, that we are here to respond. We're not here to initiate and to
Mhm.
force. And when it feels like you're forcing something, that means your sacral energy is like actually saying no, and you're forcing it to turn on anyway.
Interesting.
And I mean, honestly, you can tie that back to sex too. Like it's all like when you're forcing, you know it. And I think that's
You
also a
do
really
it.
good example because it's very visceral and
Very visceral. Yeah.
people know. Right? They know
Yeah.
that feeling like, oh yeah, when you're like, I know when I'm forcing that. But that literally applies to everything in your
Yeah.
life.
Right. And okay, so when I think about it that way in relationships, I often support women to really speak up for themselves and say what they need if they need it to be slower or they need something to be, so if we're talking back to sex again, and it's like that can seem so terrifying to
Yeah.
actually say the thing we need or take the action that feels aligned with our body. And same in business, right? Like maybe it does feel aligned to have X number of hours where we're not talking to people or right, where
Hmm.
we're just receiving wisdom or we're meditating versus doing, and like we said, running ourselves ragged.
Yeah. Having a boundary around when you take meetings, right? Oh, that was a big thing for me several years ago, even just setting up Calendly and being like, these are the only times I have meetings.
Yes.
That felt scary to do
Yeah.
at
Right.
first.
Feels
And
like
now,
everybody's going to go away.
yeah, it's not going to be enough. People are going to need, and years after that, after I'd been doing that for a while, I actually had someone, more than one person, but this one I really remember. She was like, wow, I just like, because she was like, oh, can we meet? And I was like, I'm gonna be out of town these 2 weeks. Like, can we, here's when I'm available in whatever time, for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And she was like, I just want to say how much I appreciate that example, because I
I've
noticed
not
that
done
I would
that.
be like, oh, I have to like scramble to find a time right
Yeah.
now.
Yep.
And you were just like, you can,
No.
yes, I want to meet. I
Yeah.
love you. I want to see you. Here's when.
And here's when I can do it.
Here's what, right? Rather than twisting myself into a pretzel
Yeah.
when I didn't need to. And that has been um, certainly over the last several years. I mean, there have been times where things have been a little busier than others and whatnot, and days where it's like, ooh, yeah, that's a little overcommitted. So by no means am I 100% perfect at this, but I like having those boundaries is
Yeah.
not it was just another reflection for me of like, yes, that's for me, but it's literally like an in real time example for others as
Totally.
well.
Totally. And I
That
think about love relationships like that too. Whether you're dating or in a partnership, you can set those kinds of boundaries with love and have it be in service of something higher, right? Something better, something more fulfilling,
Mhm.
even as you're saying no to something.
And here comes the trust again,
Yeah.
right? Trusting that when you follow that, like when you know, okay, this is what my body needs, this is what my energy has the capacity for,
Yeah.
trusting that it's safe to say so. Being in a relation, that's such an important aspect of it.
Yeah.
Being safe to speak up, but then respecting yourself enough and trusting that it's going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm. Oh my goodness. We could go on for so much longer.
It's so
And
delightful to talk to you.
I know. And I'm going to be on your podcast in a little bit too. So,
Yes.
um, we'll be able to dive in again.
Yeah.
So anyone listening to this one, go check out Shana's podcast as well,
Yes.
which is
Practicing Love, I think, is the one we'll
Practice
have you on.
Okay, beautiful. Yes, practicing
Yeah.
love. So go look for that one, and tune in and listen to Shana. And where else can people find you? What else do you have out there that's
Yeah.
ready for people to receive?
Ready for people. So if you go to my website, shanajamescoaching.com/free, you can get a free copy of my book, Honest Sex, which, some parts of it are about sex. A lot of it's about honesty and what it takes to keep a relationship connected and passionate for a lifetime. And if you are in a relationship or dating and have had relationships where you're like, why is this not everything I want it to be? I have a quiz too. So if you go to shanajamescoaching.com/quiz, that's all about, what's keeping you from having the best love and sex of your life and how do you actually have it? Because I want people to have it. I know it's challenging, but I also know that we don't have to settle and we don't have to give up on ourselves. And we don't, like you said, we don't have to twist ourselves into a pretzel. We get to be fully ourselves and have incredible love.
Mm. Shana, thank you so much for being here on the podcast. I absolutely have loved this conversation, and I
Mm,
can't wait to talk to you again.
me too.
But for now, thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's it for this episode. Thanks for listening, and be sure to like and subscribe. And again, if anything resonated with you from this episode, I would love to hear from you. Email me at Hannah, HANNAH, at expansiveceo.com and tell me about it. And if you're ready for your greatest expansion, you can find ways to work with me at expansiveceo.com and at x2wealthplanning.com. That's X, the numeral 2, wealthplanning.com. So until next time, remember that there is enough, you are enough, and your birthright in this lifetime is to be expansive.